What's up, everybody? I'm Taylor, and I started this channel from my heart to share free resources, suggestions, coping skills. I share what's worked for me, what hasn't worked for me, and what's still working for me today. I'm so grateful for all my subscribers, all the feedback, positive and not so positive. I'm grateful for everyone. It's been on my heart lately, and in 12-step programs, people speak about a spiritual awakening. And I just want to share my experience about what my spiritual awakening meant to me. And, you know, before, I think that a lot of people can just have this idea, and I used to be one of these people, of like some aha moment, like magical experience, right? And that's not quite how it happened for me. My spiritual awakening was sort of painful. um it was the tiny experiences that I started noticing little by little. Well, people started noticing changes in me first before I noticed the changes in myself, but then I started noticing little things about myself that I was doing differently than before I came into recovery. And then I started meditation, and that's when it really began. That's when my recovery really started taking a different path. And my spiritual awakening was me realizing one day that I was no longer the person that I used to be, that I was free from the resentment I had towards myself, free from the resentments I held towards others. Um, I was self-aware. I was such of a high level of self-awareness. And not only could I see the dysfunction in myself, but I could see the dysfunction in everyone else. It was me being able to feel emotions for the first time, and me being able to see past the mask that people put on their face, me being able to feel other people's energy. It was me realizing that the only person that is ever going to see me, hear me, and understand me the way that I need them to is me, because I know myself better than anyone will ever be able to know me. I can be 100% vulnerable with myself. It was me realizing that, yes, I have a solid support system. I have people I connect with. I have people who are here for me, that have my back. But at the end of the day, I came in this world alone, and I will die alone. And that's the reality. The reality is that people have their own suffering going on. It was me realizing that all I have is myself. And I don't say that in such a way of like, I don't need anyone. I say that in a healthy way, because my entire life I depended on other people to self-soothe me, to make me feel better, to accept me, to give me reassurance, to give me attention and affection, and like all of these things, because I didn't know how to give that to myself. And I speak about this so much in my other videos, because when I learned how to emotionally depend on myself, when I learned how to spiritually connect to myself, the view that I once had of the world before that was completely gone. Everything I had ever known my entire life was a lie, and that's the truth. I was blinded, and I was always looking through the lens of pain. I was always looking through the lens of suffering. And so a spiritual awakening was needed for me to go through different stages in my recovery, but it wasn't some magical experience. It was, I had to grieve what I had thought I had known of myself, of others, of this world. And so, I like to say that it was painful, but needed. And so, pain doesn't have to be bad. Pain doesn't have to be some thing that we shouldn't feel. I feel that pain is good for me, because pain is an indicator of trying to tell me something's not right. Pain is trying to tell me that I need to address something within myself. And so when I changed my perspective towards pain, and I came from a perspective of open-mindedness, of love and compassion and empathy towards my pain, instead of wanting to like numb my pain or dissociate myself from my pain or run or hide or avoid my pain. You know, life became a whole lot easier because I realized that pain is a part of life. It doesn't matter how good of a program I'm working, how honest I'm being, how much I'm being of service to other people, how much I'm being of service to myself, how much love I'm giving myself, how much emotional support I'm giving myself. Like, pain is unavoidable. Suffering is a part of this life. And once I realized that and I surrendered to that and I accepted that pain is unavoidable, that was another life-changing thing for me. You know, I've been struggling with my health for the past year, and I've had to advocate for myself. I've been dismissed, I've been gaslighted, I've had many doctors tell me that my physical symptoms were anxiety, PTSD. I mean, I have been through some serious emotional pain and rejection this past year, and not once did I think about picking up a drink. Not once did I think about giving up. I did what I had to do. I learned all I could about communication skills. I reached out to my support system. I planned before I went to doctor's appointments. Like, I maintained my daily recovery schedule no matter how I feel physically, mentally, or emotionally. And for me, that's, going to one 12-step meeting or any recovery meeting, any fellowship meeting that has to do with recovery once a day. Having that morning and night routine of where I just sit outside in silence, meditate, and just spend time being mindful of watching my birds, my cats, like the sky, like just sitting with myself in silence and meditating. Taking an inventory of myself is really important, because since I've been in recovery, every situation where I'm like, man, I could have done that a little bit differently, I write down the situation and then I see what my part was and what I can do better. Do I need to make an amends? Like, doing this every day has helped me, and it's the only way I've been able to grow. I reach out to at least 2 people a day. I am constantly sending both my sponsors voice audios to check in. And so I do service work, once a week at the women's rehab, and I do service work at other meetings as well. But I'm a sponsor. I have 2 sponsors. So like, these things are critical elements that keep my recovery successful. And the moment I quit doing one thing, I'll quit doing another. And that's how it's happened for me. But meditation is really my medicine. And I finally got a scan that showed some abnormalities in my lungs. And they don't know what it is, and I don't know what it is. But I was really relieved and really grateful, because I have fought for over a year, and it just feels really good to have a doctor say, you know what, I'm gonna work you in for Wednesday, which is this Wednesday, and we're gonna take cultures and biopsies, and we're gonna take a camera and let's see what this is. Instead of him saying, you know what, let me prescribe some antibiotics, because that's what they've been doing to me. Like, every time I go in, they're like, oh, let me prescribe you antibiotics. I mean, I've been taking clindamycin every month, a little over a month, for almost a year. Like, I cannot live off antibiotics. So, I mean, it feels good, and I'm at such a place of calmness because I put my recovery first. I do not sacrifice my recovery for anyone, and I have to, because my whole life I did not do the things that I speak about in my videos. I did not. And so I take that really seriously. And so my point of this video is that, no drink, no substance, no addiction is worth me picking up today, because I know how to deal with pain. And I live with chronic pain, and I've had several referrals to pain management, and I've chosen not to go because I've worked so hard to have a clear mind. And meditation has really given me the ability to separate my pain from who I am, for me to realize, like, this is just a vessel, and I've surrendered and I've accepted that this is my life now. And I've had to grieve that, and there's still times I cry in a healthy way. because I'm only 33 years old. But that's the thing, the life that I lived, the choices that I made most likely led to the consequences that are happening with my health today. And I have to accept that, because if I don't accept that, then I can go back and I will go guilt and shame, and I will beat myself up. Well, why did I do this? Well, I did it because I chose to do it, and now here I am today, so today I don't have to live like that anymore. I get to choose my response to people, to my emotions. I get to choose how I'm going to react. And before recovery, trust me, I did not believe I had a choice. But today I know I have a choice, and whatever the future holds, I'm ready for it. The things that I went through in my addiction, beyond suffering, okay? So the past 3 years since I've been in recovery, it seems like it's a lot, but I've been through worse. And the thing is I've actually made it through these 3 years sober, and I haven't had to pick up, no matter how painful life has gotten, no matter the things that I've had to do as a mother, a lot of things that I'm not going to go into detail about. But my point is that don't stop fighting. And it doesn't matter how hard life gets. We always have a choice, and we may feel like we don't have a choice, but trust me, we do have a choice. And today I know that I have a choice. And so I hope this video can bring anyone some type of message that they need to hear, that they can take from this video, and they can apply it to whatever part of their life they're struggling with. Because for me, my mind was the problem. And once I changed my mindset, which was really hard to do, the first 6 months of recovery, it was like I was fighting a constant war with myself, with both sides of my brain. But once I learned, and the more good I did, and the more honest I was, and the more commitments I stayed committed to, the easier it gets. And that's what people don't understand. Like, if they could just push through a whole year of not picking up and doing everything that these programs suggest to do on a daily basis, and they dedicated and they put just as much energy into their recovery as they did into their addictions, they would successfully thrive in recovery. Because trust me, the energy I put in my addiction is nearly not as half the energy I've had to put into my recovery. And so, like I said, pain is a part of life, suffering is a part of life, and I can choose which way my mind's gonna go and which path I'm gonna take. And today I choose the path of healing. I choose the path of recovery, because I refuse to go back down the path of suffering. Because what I know today, and what I have overcame, and what I have been able to experience, is the gifts of recovery. I will never go back, no matter what. And I really mean that.